527, runway 8 kilo, you're cleared for takeoff.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on another Wingman University video here on YouTube. And today I wanted to talk about a topic that was actually brought up last night on our Wingman Weekly show, which happens every Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can register for that down below. But the topic that was brought up was one of the questions that we've been hearing a lot on these coaching calls that we're doing, the free 20-minute coaching calls that we'll continue to do until the end of this month. And so this topic was kind of that you feel alone in this business, or you feel like you're trying to do all these things by yourself. And so I think that's our real heart behind the Wingman University, is to build this community and this hub where you can go when you're starting to feel like a little bit down on yourself or just stuck, or the bottlenecks, all these things that we've said before. And you can come to this community that we're trying to build and feel encouraged and get answers to questions that you have, like exactly where you're at. That's the whole idea behind Wingman. But I wanted to share some of my personal experience of things that I've done in the past that kind of helped me get out of some of those ruts and help me feel like I'm not so alone in this business. Now, I don't think I struggle with this as much as other people, simply because I have my brother, and literally every morning, or basically every morning, we jump on a call and we talk about, the things that we're doing for that day and how we're going to move forward and, what we want to accomplish. So it's not quite as lonely as I'm sure if you were just starting this business off by yourself. As now that I'm not right next to Steven down in Florida, I'm here in Atlanta. There have been a few things that I've tried to just, get out of my house, get away from just my desk. As much as I like this space and having my own personal area, it definitely helps to kind of get out there and feel like you can talk to other people who might not be doing exactly what you're doing, but in a similar realm where they're just, able to work from home or able to work from their computer, and just build some sense of community there, or at least just have some conversations outside of, through a webcam. So what I did was I put together just a list of 3 things that I usually do when I'm starting to feel like in a rut, or like I just need to get out of the house, which is definitely a feeling that is common around here. And, this isn't a groundbreaking list, but my hope is that this starts some conversation down in the comments below of places that you guys go, or things that you've done, or communities that you found in your local area that have helped you kind of push through some of the loneliness that we might feel in this business. So these are my 3 things, but I definitely want to hear what you guys do when you're running into some of these walls, or if you just need to talk to someone about business and no one in your family wants to sit down and hear you talk about this stuff again. We've heard that all in our personal life, me and Steven, and I'm grateful that I have my brother that's in this business with me, and we're trying to reach out to you guys in the community as much as possible, but we know we're not the only resource for this type of thing. So I just want to hear your thoughts on this. So number 1, I think the place that we all think about going when we're like, okay, I need to get out of the house, I just want to go somewhere and work for a couple of hours, is a coffee shop. And I'm just going to quickly give kind of the pros and cons that I see personally for each of the things that I have on this list. And so starting with the coffee shop, the positive and the thing that I think I like the most about working in a coffee shop is just kind of like busy buzz that is most coffee shops have. I think a lot of people go there to have meetings or do the same thing that I'm doing, which is just sit down with your laptop and have decent internet to get some work done. And so we're all that similar mindset. And I think that's a big change from sitting at home where you can just be super comfortable, turn on the TV and kind of relax a lot more. Maybe you're not as productive as when you're around other people who are also trying to be productive, and you're in a more public space, so you're not just going to be I don't know, at least I don't lounge a bunch in the coffee shops. Usually when I'm there, I'm like, okay, let's get these 3 things done, and then let me get out of here, go back to my comfortable space at home. The biggest con for me for coffee shops is just the kind of, I guess it's kind of the same thing, but that buzz and that noise that is there inside the coffee shops. Throughout my day, kind of at the drop of a pin, or, a lot of times I have multiple calls to jump on throughout the day. And, they can be anywhere from a 10-minute call to a 3-hour call, or even longer sometimes. And so it's just not the greatest place to be having a, conversation with somebody on a Zoom call or whatever we're using. And for my setup, I have a microphone, a camera, and all this lighting and stuff that I like to have just to make the calls a little bit nicer. And it's hard to move all this stuff to the coffee shop. Not impossible. I've done it before while traveling as much as I have. But now that I have my own space, my own office, I like to just do my calls here. And so I don't usually find myself in coffee shops anymore, just because of the fact that we have a lot of meetings throughout the day. We're recording videos, we're doing a lot of stuff with the camera, and it's nice to be able to control kind of the sound environment and also the lighting. And the number 2 place on my list actually has solved some of those problems for me, and that's libraries. And so a lot of libraries have free private rooms that if you call in advance, or even sometimes if you just show up, they will let you rent out even without being a member of that specific library branch. This is a tip that I've used a ton while on the road, and we have to do calls, or the Monday night shows I've done in my background used to change every week because I'd just be in like different friends' houses or libraries or co-workspaces or Airbnbs. I was all over the place, but libraries were kind of always maybe the last resort, but I kind of always knew that I could trust the library system to have a good private room that I could rent out. Sometimes you had to pay for it, but they were usually inexpensive and a nice place for me to just sit and record some videos when I needed to. But the flip side of that is because most of the time they're free, or it's kind of a well-known thing that you can go get these rooms, is that it's pretty popular, especially depending on what area you're in. New York comes to mind. I was in the New York Library and looking for a room, and it was always just filled, so I ended up going to the third thing on the list, which I'll get to in a second. But it can be hard to find the space in a library, even if you're not looking for a private room. Sometimes seating is limited, or sometimes there's major events going on, so there's a bunch of people there for different reasons, or a school's in there. So there can be a lot of things that factor into libraries just being kind of a crowded space at times, and it's not always the best to even go there and get work done. At least in my experience, I don't like having a ton of people around. Coffee shops is okay because everyone's kind of focused, but at libraries people can be doing a million different things, and that can be even more distracting for me, and so I just don't get a ton of work done. So while I love libraries, I love my library system. I grew up going to libraries and renting out books and all that good stuff. I usually don't find myself working there a ton. So that leads us on to the third thing on my list. But before I tell you guys about this third thing, I would appreciate it if you could like and leave a comment below on this video, and sub to the channel if you're enjoying the content so far. But again, I want this to be an open conversation. So let me know where you guys go when you're looking to just get out of the house and do some work, or if you're just looking for, to have some conversations. Maybe there's a meetup group that you know of, or groups that are kind of local to each town that, are all focused on this type of thing. So we've gone to a ton of business meetings. I don't go to a ton anymore. Maybe I could start looking into that. If you guys have some suggestions of good business meetings to go to, I'm always open to that type of thing. I just want to grow this community, not only online, but also locally as well. So I'm looking for your guys' take on this and your guys' experience with, maybe you've worked online or worked from home much longer than I have and have just better solutions for this type of thing. But okay, let's go on to number 3, which is co-workspaces. And I have become obsessed with co-workspaces in the last couple of years, really the last 3 years that I've started traveling as much as I did. When I found out about them originally, there was a plan for us, me and Steven, to put together one in Florida. We were looking at office space and trying to figure out, the logistics of how to do that. But then I started traveling a ton, and I was like, as much as I want my own brick and mortar place where people can just come and do business, it didn't work out quite the way that I wanted it to. And so maybe that's something that we try to do somewhere down the road, have a wingman co-work space. I would absolutely love to do that. I don't know if we're quite ready to do something like that, just because I do plan on moving still. But the reason I love co-work spaces is because you get to build community there. And so similar to coffee shops where everyone's kind of, usually working on something or having their meetings and things, it's just that, but way more focused on, doing business for the most part. I mean, every co-work space is different and can be wildly different at that. But at the core of a lot of the co-work spaces that I've been to, they usually focus on events and getting to know each other and having a list of everyone who comes and works here and the type of things that they're doing and some way to contact them, so you can work together and be a little bit more collaborative. And that's what I really love about co-work spaces. The thing that I'm battling about co-work spaces is just, and I know this sounds really lame and really spoiled, but the commute to actually getting there. I'm here in Atlanta, and there's no co-work space that I found yet that's within 30 minutes of me. So a lot of the time I'm having to go downtown Atlanta, which can be, it's whatever, a couple miles away, but it can take an hour to get there, especially depending on what time you want to get to work. And so I'm not a huge fan of that. And the ones that I found on the outskirts are still, in little pockets that are super populated. So even finding parking can be a pain. And so, like I said, it's kind of a lame excuse, but I don't like just having to deal with the hassle of getting to work. I love the fact that I can work from home And when I'm ready to work, I take a few steps to the left, jump onto my desk, open my computer, and I'm ready to rock and roll for the day. And it's not like, okay, now I've got to pack everything up, I've got to go and sit down and get like prepared. Sometimes it's what I need, so I still do it. And I love the events and some of the people that I've met at these co-workspaces. But for an everyday thing, it feels a lot like how I felt originally when I was working at the screen printing place, where I was like, why do I have to go into work every day? Like, I'm working from home, I can take emails from home. There's no like big deal of why I have to use their computer with their program at this workplace. I could definitely do this stuff from home. And so those feelings start to come up when I'm going to too many co-workspaces. I'm like, all right, I just want to work from home today, or I have to shoot these videos, I want the same background and things. And so that's kind of my gripe with co-workspaces. It's not really co-workspaces, it's more of a personal thing. And if there was one that opened up like right down the street, I think I would live there. But unfortunately, where I'm at, I have not found any like super close co-workspaces. I guess another downside of these co-workspaces is usually, unless you're in kind of a major city or a pretty populated area, they're not going to have co-workspaces. I've traveled all over the country at this point, and sometimes I would have loved to sit down and work in a co-workspace, but because of the size town that I was in, there just really wasn't any options or anything like that open. Now they're definitely becoming more popular, so I'm hoping in the near future basically every town has one, but for now they're not a super popular thing. And like I said earlier, everyone can be very unique. The ones downtown, like, they're in these awesome buildings. You have like 5 stories that you can go and find a little nook to work in and have these awesome views and everything, but you have to deal with like the headache of going downtown, which is like the parking and the traffic and all of that. And then the ones that are on the outskirts, they're pretty cool. There's actually one that comes to mind that's kind of like a private coffee shop that you have to actually get invited to, and you wouldn't really know it was there unless exactly where to like go and enter the place. So that was a cool feeling, but still the parking in that area wasn't the greatest, and there were no private rooms at that one, which is like a bummer for me because, like I said, I like to record a lot of video and jump on calls all day, so I kind of need that private room. But I would highly encourage you, after hearing my pros and cons, to go and try one of those spaces out, especially if you're feeling lonely or like, I don't want to spend another day in the house just working. Moving outside of the house can actually re-energize you, as it does me a lot of time. I still love traveling, even though I'm like based in one area, and so getting out of the house and working in some of these spaces, I usually find that I'm way more productive. And sometimes I have some pretty great conversations with just people around me that I go up and approach, or they'll approach me, especially in the co-work space. That's what I love about them, is just people are pretty talkative there. Sometimes it can be not the great place to actually get work done, but it's a good place to build community and get away from this feeling of feeling so alone. But I would highly suggest you guys go check those places out if you are having some of those feelings. And I want to hear, again, from you guys in the comments below, places that you would go, or groups that you've found that have been super helpful, or maybe hobbies that you have outside of work where you can build a community of people and just get away from some of this loneliness feeling. I know there are much more experienced people out there. I know there are people who have been doing this way longer than I have, and even people who have been doing this, a shorter amount of time. You guys might have ideas or places that you found that have been just as helpful. To get out of the house but still be productive and get work done. And if you are feeling those things, but you don't have the time to maybe go out or have any co-work spaces near you, you can still sign up for our 20-minute free call with me and Steven that we're doing until the end of the month. And we'll love to jump on a call with you, get to know you a little bit, get to know your situation, what your goals for your business are, and try to help you in any way that we can. Or we can just chat for 20 minutes if you just need someone to hang out with. So we're here for you. We hope to hear from you guys soon. We're excited for all the coaching calls that we have going on this week. But until Thursday, when the next video comes out, I'll see you guys around. All right, guys, bye.